Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to build a practical, research-informed understanding of work teams. We will cover 5 things. 1. The difference between groups and teams. 2. The 5 types of team arrangements organizations use. 3. What makes teams effective, using a classic input process outcome style model. 4. How organizations can create team players and support teamwork. And 5. A key warning. Teams are not always the answer. Let's start with a distinction that sounds basic, but it's one of the most important. A work group interacts primarily to share information and make decisions to help each member perform in their area of responsibility. So, a work group can be productive, but it doesn't necessarily generate synergy. A work team, in contrast, generates positive synergy through coordinated effort. That means the team's output is greater than the sum of individual contributions. A key implication is this: if an organization uses teams effectively, it can sometimes generate greater outputs without increasing headcount. So, the difference isn't just semantics. It's about whether coordination produces measurable synergy. Quick check for yourself. If you've ever been on a team where everyone did their own part separately and stitched it together the night before the deadline, that's often a group labeled as a team. Organizations don't just have teams. They have different team designs, each with different strengths and risks. 1. Problem-solving teams. These are employees from the same department who meet a few hours each week to discuss ways of improving quality, efficiency, or the work environment. A big limitation: they often lack authority to implement changes. They recommend, others decide. 2. Self-managed work teams. These teams go further. They don't just recommend. They implement solutions and take responsibility for outcomes, sometimes including tasks traditionally done by supervisors. This can include planning and scheduling, assigning tasks, controlling pace, making operating decisions, and acting on problems. Some fully self-managed teams even select their members and evaluate one another. But there are real trade-offs. If teams don't have clear authority and accountability, they can spend too much time getting on the same page, aligning values and goals, without moving work forward. And research on self-managed teams is mixed. Their effectiveness depends on whether the organization actually rewards team-promoting behavior. They also tend to struggle in the presence of conflict. And while team members often report higher job satisfaction, studies sometimes show higher absenteeism and turnover. So, self-management can work, but it's not magic. It's a design that needs support. 3. Cross-functional teams. Cross-functional teams are people from roughly the same hierarchical level but different functions, marketing, finance, operations, HR, assembled to accomplish a task. They can be excellent for innovation and complex coordination because they bring diverse perspectives together. But they're also harder to run. It is essential they establish an accountable leader from formation to dissolution. Ensure goals, resources, and deadlines are clear. Create a clear mission that functions as the main objective. Continuously evaluate progress. And if the team is unsuccessful, reconsider whether the team is useful in the first place. Virtual teams use computer technology to tie together physically dispersed members to achieve a common goal. Virtual teams face special challenges: less social rapport, less direct interaction. To manage virtual teams well, leaders should ensure trust is established and note how fragile trust can be online. One inflammatory email can undermine it. Team progress is monitored closely so no one disappears. And team efforts and products are publicized inside the organization so the team doesn't become invisible. There's also a strong ethical angle here. Virtual collaboration can reduce travel and reduce an organization's carbon footprint, which can be an important sustainability argument. As tasks become more complex, organizations often scale up using multi-team systems, a team of teams. A multi-team system is a collection of 2 or more interdependent teams that share a superordinate goal. But there's a key tension. Early on, strong identification with one's own team can create inter-team conflict. Developing identification with the larger system can reduce conflict and improve system performance. Multi-team systems can benefit from decentralized planning, but coordination problems can increase, and leadership becomes especially important. Now we move from types of teams to what makes teams effective. We can begin to understand effectiveness using a model with three broad areas: team context, team composition, and team processes and states. A key caveat: this model helps us think, but we should not apply it rigidly. Different teams differ in structure. Also, the model assumes we've already decided teamwork is preferable to individual work. With those caveats, let's unpack the categories. 4 contextual factors matter a lot. 1. Adequate resources. Teams rely on resources outside the team. Scarcity reduces performance. 2. Leadership and structure. Teams can't function if they can't agree who does what and whether work is shared. Leadership is especially important in multi-team systems. 3. Climate of trust. Effective teams trust each other and their leaders. Trust makes people willing to take risks. Trust in leadership increases commitment to decisions. And 4. Performance evaluation and reward systems. If you evaluate and reward only individual performance, it can undermine teamwork. Thus, reward systems must be adapted to reflect team performance, potentially using hybrid systems. Recognize individuals for exceptional contributions, while still rewarding the group for outcomes. Now, staffing. Who you put on the team. First, you need to consider abilities. Member knowledge, skills, and abilities set limits on performance. Complementary backgrounds can be weakly related to overall performance, but more strongly related to innovation and creativity in practice. Next, personality is an important factor. Some Big Five traits matter in teams. Conscientious team members are good at backing up others and sensing when support is needed. Open members share ideas, increasing creativity and innovation. With task conflict, emotional stability helps teams perform better. Extroversion has mixed findings, but some evidence links high average extroversion to more helping behaviors. Furthermore, allocation of roles is important to consider. Teams need different roles filled. Managers should allocate work to fit strengths and place the most able, experienced, conscientious members into the most central roles. Then there is diversity and demography. Demography is the degree to which members share demographic attributes like age, gender, education, race, or tenure. Diversity can increase early conflict and turnover risk because communication can be harder and conflict more likely. But if diverse teams stay together, they may reach strong performance, share more information, make fewer errors, and avoid conformity. Cultural diversity can be an asset for tasks needing many viewpoints, but effects depend on composition. Cultural differences can negatively affect performance for majority members while positively affecting performance for minority members. Next, it is important to consider team size. Small teams are usually better. A common guideline is 5 to 9 members. Coordination costs rise quickly as you add members. Large teams can increase social loafing, reduce accountability, and reduce communication. If the natural unit is large, consider subteams. Finally, member preferences for teamwork. Not everyone wants to work in teams. High-performing teams are more likely to be composed of people who prefer teamwork. The final category related to team effectiveness includes team processes and team states. This is where many teams succeed or fail. First, let's look at the team common plan and purpose. Effective teams analyze the mission, set goals, and create strategies. They perform better when they have clarity about what needs to be done and how. They also show reflexivity, reflecting on the plan and adjusting when needed. Next, let's consider mental models. Effective teams share accurate mental models, shared understandings of key elements in their environment. Wrong or mismatched mental models cause performance problems. Teams also benefit from transactive memory systems, knowing who knows what and how knowledge is distributed in the team. A simple practice: communicate about what is happening while the team is operating to keep mental models aligned. Then we need to consider conflict. Conflict is not always bad. Relationship conflict is almost always dysfunctional. Task conflict can stimulate discussion and improve decisions in non-routine work. Task conflict is more likely to help when team members are open and emotionally stable, and when conflict conditions are managed effectively, especially how conflict is resolved. Next, social loafing. People can hide in groups. Effective teams reduce this by making members individually and jointly accountable and clarifying responsibilities. Team states are shared attitudinal, emotional, and motivational conditions that shape how people approach teamwork. You can have good structure, but without positive states, teams may still underperform. Motivation can occur when teams translate purpose into specific, measurable, realistic goals. Challenging goals energize teams and keep focus on results. Team efficacy is the shared belief that the team can succeed. Management can build efficacy through small wins and training. Higher ability teams are more likely to develop efficacy. Team identity is when people feel included and respected. They invest more effort. Strong team identity can align individual achievement motivation with team goals, but identity has a risk. If team identity is strong and organizational identity is weak, teams may refuse to coordinate with other teams. This is especially relevant for multi-team systems. Team cohesion is emotional attachment and motivation toward the team. It predicts performance. And when cohesion is harmed, performance can drop. Cohesion can be supported with interdependence and high-quality interpersonal interactions. Team trust is a shared positive expectation. It has strong effects on team performance, especially in virtual teams. Leadership matters for trust building and repair. Even if teams are the right structure, people may not automatically know how to be effective team members. Here, 3 levers can help. They are selecting, training, and rewarding. Selecting means hiring people for interpersonal skills, not only technical skills. Ensure candidates can fulfill team roles. Next, team training can create team players, especially in individualistic cultures where people are used to solo achievement. Training can include exercises that allow people to experience the satisfaction and effectiveness of teamwork. And team development takes time. Evidence across many studies suggests team training can produce real performance benefits. Finally, reward systems must encourage cooperation, not only competition. Recognition should go to people who share information, resolve conflict, help others, and develop needed skills. But balance matters. Don't ignore individual excellence. Incorporate it in a way that supports the team. Also, don't forget intrinsic rewards. Camaraderie, meaning, and growth can be powerful motivators. Now the most important counterbalance. Teamwork takes more time and resources than individual work. It increases communication demands, conflict management, and meeting load. So before implementing teams, assess whether the benefits exceed the costs. 3 tests can help decide whether a team fits. First, can the work be done better by more than one person? Second, does it create a common purpose that is more than the sum of individual goals? Third, are members interdependent in their tasks? If the answer is no, a team may add friction rather than value. In conclusion, groups and teams are different. Groups share information. Teams create synergy through coordinated effort. Organizations use 5 major team arrangements: problem-solving, self-managed, cross-functional, virtual teams, and multi-team systems. Team effectiveness depends on context, composition, and processes and states, especially purpose, mental models, trust, appropriate conflict, and accountability. Organizations can build team capability by selecting, training, and rewarding team players. And finally, teamwork is not automatically superior. Teams should be used when interdependence and synergy justify the added cost. Thank you for joining me for Understanding of Work Teams. I hope you will join me for future organizational behavior videos.